Hello, and welcome to Metro Morning Live and Metro Midday Live for your Monday. I'm Rob J. We have another great show for you today. Before we get started, though, I want to let you know that this show is brought to you by Converge One. Converge One is a proud sponsor of JSU-TV, Metro Morning Live and Metro Midday Live. Converge One, they offer technology solutions that connect people with purpose. In today's show, another Southwest aircraft come dangerously close to the ground. More on that in just a moment. Also, we look at how both presidential candidates are preparing for this week's debate. And known as the silent killer, extreme heat is one of the deadliest weather events. Learn the symptoms of heat exhaustion later in the show. All of those stories coming up for you in just a moment. But first, we begin with a Canton school teacher was killed during a wrong-way crash on I-55 over the weekend. According to the Canton Public School District, Tyra Small Jackson was a 23-year veteran teacher and a Canton native. The 48-year-old was killed Saturday when a woman who was driving the wrong way on I-55 near the Gluckstadt exit hit the vehicle Small Jackson was riding in. Another person and a baby were also in the vehicle Small Jackson was riding in during the crash, but both are expected to be okay. The wrong-way driver is 32-year-old Jordan Sullivan of Louisville, Mississippi. She is charged with aggravated DUI. She was taken to the hospital to be treated for her injuries, but as is the case with all drunk drivers, she did not have a scratch on her. In the meantime, much of the nation experienced severe weather over the weekend. Heavy rain led to flooding in parts of the Midwest. Also, other parts of the country are sweltering in extreme summer heat. Here's Reed Binion.
I'm definitely going to like the public parks and like pools like these, so it kind of keeps me cool.
New York residents among more than 100 million Americans under heat alerts this weekend. The dangerous heat wave bringing blistering temperatures to much of the I-95 corridor, including Washington, D.C., where a heat emergency could bring the first triple-digit temperatures since 2016. The heat wave impacting other parts of the nation as well, from the Ohio Valley to the western U.S., including California, where sizzling temperatures are bringing heat alerts to areas in the southern and central parts of the state. Meanwhile, heavy rain in parts of the Midwest. The city of Rock Valley, Iowa, activating its tornado sirens early Saturday morning to warn residents to evacuate because of flooding in the area. The Sioux County Sheriff's Office released video that shows parts of the city completely underwater. The Sioux Falls National Weather Service Office issued a flash flood emergency overnight due to a levee failure on the Rock River. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds issued a disaster emergency proclamation for 21 counties, including Sioux County, amid severe storms and flooding. Rain also prompting high water rescues in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where at least 9 people were rescued in 24 hours. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
3 people were killed and at least 10 others injured in a mass shooting at an Arkansas grocery store over the weekend. Here's Sherelle Hubbard with more.
We are live here at Mad Butcher in Fordyce, and there's a shooting going on.
David Rodriguez, a witness, says he was pulling into the gas station when he heard pops. He thought it was fireworks, but it was the sound of gunfire. Shortly after, Rodriguez says he saw people running from the scene.
There's somebody lying in the parking lot, shot.
Arkansas State Police say the shooting happened around 11:30 a.m. Friday in the small town of Fordyce, about an hour south of Little Rock. An employee at the Mad Butcher grocery said a man with a shotgun came into the store and ended up in a shootout with police.
Law enforcement responded immediately and exchanged gunfire with a lone suspect. 2 law enforcement officers were injured in the exchange of gunfire. The suspect was also shot and taken into custody.
3 people were killed and at least 10 wounded in the shooting. A Fordyce City Council member says he was on the phone with someone in the store when the shooting erupted and says some people hid in a freezer to escape gunfire.
This is a very devastating day for us. Never in a million years will we think something like this would happen. There's a lot of families involved that's affected, so just continue to pray for them.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
An American couple died overseas while on a religious pilgrimage in Saudi Arabia over the weekend. Tina Kim has the details.
A trip of a lifetime ended in the deaths of a Maryland couple who had traveled to Mecca, Saudi Arabia. They were taking part in the Hajj, the pilgrimage Muslims are called to do, one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Their daughter believes retired nurse Aissatou Wuri, age 65, and her husband Aliyu, age 71, succumbed to the extreme heat.
All we know is that it was of natural causes, and someone from the U.S. Embassy did advise that natural causes could have been due to a heat stroke, which, based on the temperature, people were saying it was over 110 degrees.
Today, the Saudi government said more than 1,300 people have died at Hajj this year, with numerous cases due to heat stress. Wuri said even though her parents paid a tour company more than $20,000, their trip was plagued with problems, compelling the couple at one point to walk for hours in search of food.
That they've saved their entire lives to embark on this journey. It was just a nightmare overall experience of a trip. They talked about not having the proper transportations. They talked about days where the company did not provide food for them.
CNN has reached out to the tour company for comment. Now Wuri is planning to head to Saudi Arabia with her family to find where her parents are buried. I'm Tina Kim reporting.
The first presidential debate is less than a week away now, and it could be a make-or-break moment for both President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. Julia Benbrook has the story.
President Joe Biden is gathering with trusted aides at Camp David for several days of intense debate prep.
How is debate prep going?
His sessions are expected to evolve from informal discussions about topics, questions, and potential responses to more formal 90-minute mock debates.
Looking for Biden to give the same performance he did in the previous debates, but also to do what he did in the State of the Union, which is to surprise expectations.
Among those helping Biden get ready is the president's former chief of staff, Ron Klain, who has been working with Democratic candidates for decades. Former President Donald Trump's aides insist he will rely more on interviews and rallies to hone his approach.
I'm not underestimating him. I assume he's going to be somebody that will be a worthy debater.
But he is leaning on some of his top contenders for vice president, including Senators J.D. Vance of Ohio and Marco Rubio of Florida, as well as policy experts and outside allies to help brief him.
I think the former president needs to practice with his team, particularly on how he may respond to some difficult questions, maybe about January 6th, maybe questions about some of the legal issues that he currently faces.
In recent weeks, Trump has participated in roughly a dozen of these private meetings his team refers to as policy discussions. The first debate is scheduled for June 27th at 9 p.m. Eastern in Atlanta. Reporting in Washington, I'm Julia Benbrook.
The Federal Aviation Administration is investigating why a Southwest Airlines jet came dangerously close to the ground over the weekend. Laura Aguirre has more.
This is Southwest Airlines Flight 4069 over Yukon, Oklahoma Wednesday, about 9 miles from the airport in Oklahoma City. Just after midnight local time, air traffic control warned the pilots of a low-altitude alert, asking the crew, "You good out there?" according to liveatc.net. Tracking data from Flight Radar 24 reveals that the jet, which took off from Las Vegas, came within 525 feet of the ground before climbing briefly and then safely landing. The FAA confirmed in a statement Thursday that it's investigating the incident. Southwest Airlines says it's working with the agency to understand and address any irregularities with the aircraft's approach to the airport. It's the second frightening descent by a Southwest jet since April, when a flight landing in Hawaii went as low as 400 feet above the ocean before climbing after an aborted landing attempt. The jets involved in both cases are Boeing 737 models, and while the cause of these two descents has not been determined, they come as Boeing is mired in previous safety and quality control mishaps. The company's CEO faced harsh bipartisan criticism on Capitol Hill Tuesday.
This hearing is a moment of reckoning.
You don't recognize the Boeing that has airplanes falling out of the sky?
Our culture is far from perfect, but we are taking action and we are making progress.
Southwest tried to assure the flying public after Wednesday's incident, saying nothing is more important than the safety of their customers and employees. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Stay with us, back with more after the break. In today's News from the Blue, a look at 2 different activities to assist Jackson State Athletics. Jackson State's Department of Athletics received a major boost Friday from a pair of fundraising events at just about the same time.
This is our 4th annual golf event. Is a major fundraiser for our association, the Jackson State Association of Alumni Athletes. So about 85% of the funds go back to Jackson State. We normally give a check out for homecoming. It's important to have this because it's a way for us to give back to ensure that athletics, that we can help out as former athletes.
Close to 100 golfers participated in this year's fundraiser, consisting of former players and alums of Jackson State University.
I try to make it every year, Rob. You know, it's dear to my heart being at Jackson State, but at the same time, it's supporting the alums. And it's been a great tournament. You know, every year I came, it's always been a great tournament here. And I enjoy coming back and fellowshipping with the guys, a lot of guys I hadn't seen. See some guys new every year, so it's always a fun time.
Well, we're here to raise money for Jackson State, and anything that's raising money for Jackson State helps the city of Jackson as well. So this is something that we support, and we want others to come out and support us.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right.
While a different type of fundraiser was being conducted at Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium, food trucks lined the stadium parking lot as JSU officials encouraged fans to purchase their season tickets and donate to various athletic organizations.
I just wanted to come out and support and every effort that they usually have, which is try to come out and just be here for the team.
We are asking you all to come on out and get these tickets. I've been sitting in the same seat 40 years coming up. It was 14 of us, we down to 4 now, so come on out and get your ticket. This is a great group, this is a great organization. Get your money out your pocket early and come on out and see us. Have a good day.
Buy your season tickets today.
Season tickets will remain on sale until July 31st. Be sure to follow news from the Blue each day during the summer for JSU Sports Updates.
I'm Anthony Dean, General Manager of WJSU and the SIP-FM, and these are my 5 influencers during Black Music Month. Number 1 is Dizzy Gillespie. Now, Dizzy is a phenomenal musician, was one rather. I had the pleasure of hosting him in Tuscaloosa, Alabama when I managed a public radio station in Tuscaloosa. He came and spent 2 days with us. I had a chance to hang out with him. My wife and I really enjoyed his company. And you know, he performed this tune called A Night in Tunisia. I fell in love with it. And I said, how did that inspire you? How did you come up with that? He said he was in Tunisia one night, just walking around, and the stars were aligned, the moon, it was so pretty that he just made all of his problems, his concerns go away. And he said that's how he came up with the tune, with the song, A Night in Tunisia. And it was very inspiring. The next influencer was Wynton Marsalis. Now, Wynton and I developed a good friendship. Goes back to my days when I was on the board of directors of National Public Radio. Wynton did a series of jazz programs called Making the Music. And I had an opportunity to travel around the country with Wynton. I remember one night he performed in Denver, Colorado at the Civic Center. It was a black tie event, so we went to that and just had a ball. He just performed him and his septet. So during a break, we were in his dressing room and he said, "You haven't heard anything." I said, "Man, this is awesome." He said, "But you haven't heard anything." He said, "After this concert, there's a little hole in the wall, sort of, in Denver that he said he loves to go to and just perform with some of the local musicians. And the name of it was called The Peck, the Potapek. So we went to that venue that night after the concert. We were there at about 4 o'clock in the morning. It was just a jam session, and he was very, very good. And I developed a friendship with members of his septet. but I think he has been a major influencer in the jazz music arena, as well as classical music. And one other quick story about Wynton, and during the time we had him in Tuscaloosa, I got a grant to do jazz and classical music concerts. And I asked him, would he do jazz one night and classical music the other night? He said, oh no, I can't do that. I have to wait at least 6 months before I switch from jazz to classical. I thought that was interesting, and I didn't know that. The other person that, the third person who is the major influencer, and unfortunately we just lost her just recently, Tina Turner. She was so resilient in her performance, in her life, and all the things that she went through with her ex-husband, Ike. So, and I had the opportunity to meet a young lady who's performed with her, was in the group with her during the time she went through the difficulties and the abuse from Ike, and she told me all about that. And so, but Tina has been a major influence. The other person is Beyonce. Beyonce was really inspired by Tina Turner. She was a major influence on Beyonce, and some of her music come through. And so Beyonce said Tina was the epitome of passion and power. And so that's what kind of inspired her. And the last person is Frankie Beverly. Frankie, and I listened to Frankie as a student back in college. Some of his music was just so inspiring to me and many others. And his music has passed the time and is still relevant even now. So all of these individuals were major influencers in black music. And they are my influencer, and I'm Anthony Dean.
Are you looking for a lawyer? LookUpLegal.org is the perfect place to start. With customer reviews and information about potential legal scenarios, you can find the right lawyer for your case. Plus, our lawyers are listed by specialty, so you can find the perfect lawyer for your needs. Visit lookuplegal.org today and get the legal help you need.
Our story begins more than 60 years ago, inside an abandoned chicken coop, where our founder discovered a retired teacher living, no home, no health care. So she said no to this injustice and yes to transforming lives. It's this drive, this compassion that inspired AARP. Today, we empower people to choose how they live as they age. We advocate for health and financial security. We strengthen communities everywhere. We are AARP Mississippi, creating real possibilities.
WJSU presents the SIP FM, celebrating community, culture, and music. The SIP FM specializes in classic hip-hop and R&B. The SIP FM, your choice for urban alternative radio. Catch your favorite show hosts each day. Listen 24/7 on the SIP.FM and each night from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. on 88.5 FM. Connect with us on all social media platforms at the SIP FM. The SIP FM is here, powered by WJSU, licensed to the Jackson State University.
Stay out of the sun, drink water, wear sunscreen. We all know the basic rules for dealing with hot weather. And while following these rules are going to keep many of us safe, studies have shown that heat is in fact the deadliest of natural disasters, particularly for those who are more at risk. As heat waves get hotter and longer and more frequent due to the climate crisis, it's important to understand what exactly is happening to our bodies when temperatures soar. Sweat, or the absence of it. This can be a sign of a heat-related issue. Let me show you something here. When you get hot, there's a small region in your brain called the hypothalamus, right over here, that sends a message to your sweat glands to start the cooling process. That opens your pores and releases moisture. But that alone isn't enough to cool you down. Some of the sweat then needs to evaporate off your skin, releasing heat from your body into the air. This process becomes less effective, though, as humidity rises. Think about that feeling you get when coming out of a hot shower. You usually feel cooler as the water evaporates off your skin, unless you're in a hot or humid room, in which case it won't happen. Humidity also plays a role in why the same temperature could feel different depending on where you are in the world. To understand these sorts of heat stress conditions, scientists use a measurement that combines air temperature and humidity, and they call it the wet bulb temperature. As the wet bulb temperature approaches your body temperature, it's harder for you to sweat. So you'll start losing the ability to cool down as sweat will evaporate more slowly. Now, if you lose too much water or salt through excessive sweating, this can actually cause heat exhaustion. Look out for these symptoms. Also, try to cool your body down by moving to a cool place if possible, or taking a cool shower. If symptoms get worse, like you start vomiting or confusion develops, you should seek medical attention. Heat exhaustion is often confused with heat stroke, but this is a much more serious condition. That's likely going to occur when your core body temperature rises above 104 degrees, and you're going to need emergency medical care. A person might profusely sweat, as you'd expect, or instead they could have hot, dry skin. They might also feel confused and have a rapid, strong pulse. That's because heat can also affect our heart, which needs to work harder to pump blood to the surface of the skin, helping with the cooling process. And when you sweat and lose fluids, the amount of blood circulating through your body, that also decreases. To compensate, your heart will beat faster, increasing your heart rate and your blood pressure. That's why people with pre-existing heart conditions, for example, need to be particularly careful during hot summer days. And everyone got to watch their water intake, because obviously the more you sweat, the more easily you can get dehydrated, sometimes without even realizing it. Key tip, drink before you're thirsty. And if you must be outside, drink fluids even before heading out. If you're working or exercising in the heat, you should know that you could be more at risk, so it's advised to drink at least 1 cup of water every 20 minutes. It's true that in time our bodies have the ability to acclimate by being repeatedly exposed to hot environments, and that many healthy adults will be able to avoid some of these dangers that heat can pose. But knowing the signs and the science can help keep ourselves and each other safe.
Stay with us, back with more.
There are so many reasons to love Zaxby's Fingers Tossed in Sauce. The sauce, the hand breading, the sauce, the 12-hour marinade, the sauce, the perfectly seasoned chicken. Oh, and did we mention the sauce? Try Zaxby's Fingers Tossed in Tongue Torch, Sweet and Spicy, or any of our 8 signature sauces. Craving some now? Download the Zaxby's app and earn points with every order. Woo, saucy! Zaxby's.
When it comes to a fight, is it the size of the dog or the fight in the dog that really matters?
I'm attorney Richard Schwartz. When you've been hurt and need help, bigger doesn't always mean better. You need a team that will do whatever it takes to get you the money you deserve. A team that treats you with dignity and respect. A team that doesn't get paid until you get paid. You need Team Schwartz. Go with the name you know. Call Team Schwartz. One call, that's all.
WJSU presents the SIP FM, celebrating community, culture, and music. The SIP FM specializes in classic hip-hop and R&B. The SIP FM, your choice for urban alternative radio. Catch your favorite show host each day. Listen 24/7 on the SIP.FM and each night from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. on 88.5 FM. Connect with us on all social media platforms at the SIP FM. The SIP FM is here, powered by WJSU, licensed to the Jackson State University.
Hello, everybody. This is Orlando El Gato Melendez from the world-famous Harlem Globetrotters, and you're watching JSU-TV. Yeah.
It is just surreal.
KCCI first told you about Sue McEntee more than a decade ago, after she tried to sell what she thought was an average wooden baseball bat at her garage sale.
Our boys were all out of high school, so we thought good time to get rid of all their sports stuff.
Sue was listing the bat for just a single $1 when a man came up and asked her for a pencil.
And he rubbed the pencil right here, and all of a sudden the word Jackie Robinson appeared.
From the Robinson-style print on the bat's barrel and the larger knob at the end, he knew.
He's like, you need to put this in the house and hide it somewhere because you have a gem.
And that gem made its way to Sue's home through a special connection she has with Robinson.
My uncle played baseball with him in the late 40s for the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Joe Hatton pitched in the majors for 7 seasons and spent over 5 on the team with Jackie. But they weren't just teammates.
If there were times that somebody was asked to room with Jackie, Uncle Joe was the one who would do that. And he did so without any second thought.
Now, years later, McEntee brought the bat to Antiques Roadshow at Living History Farms in Urbandale. And after telling one of the show's appraisers about the bat, they made their decision.
We talked to a couple other appraisers. That went on for about 45 minutes, and then they chose us to be taped for the show.
She learned in its current condition, the bat is worth between $15,000 and $20,000, and possibly 5 times that amount if she cleaned it up. But Sue says she has no plans on selling the bat, rather keeping it for future generations to enjoy.
You know, I think of all my cousins who will enjoy hearing the story and understanding that a piece of our family continues to be a part of history.
Who needs a best man when you can have a best penguin?
I give you this ring.
I gave you this ring.
Check out who came bearing the rings. At this wedding in England, a rent-a-penguin named Widget followed a bucket of fish and carried the rings on a ribbon. Why a penguin?
My wife, Kerry, it's a favourite animal, it's penguins.
It took a ruse to pull it off. The best man pretended he'd lost the rings, then dashed out.
I know he has them because I saw them earlier.
The officiant was in on it as groom Joey Keelty faked concern.
Oh my God.
Joey thought his bride might suspect.
Yeah, she probably thought it was Hallie.
They're cockapoo, but instead, the penguin surprised the bride.
She was definitely happy. She had a little tear in her eye.
Widget the penguin and 3 others mingled with the guests.
In the presence of your witnesses, family, friends and animals gathered here today.
It cost about $2,500 to rent these party animals for 2 hours.
It made an absolutely perfect day, just that extra little bit special.
It was also special when
one of the penguins did peck one of the guests.
And all of the penguins left wedding presents on the lawn outside. What's a few presents when you can have a ring-bearing penguin who doesn't even have to rent a tuxedo?
You may kiss the bride.
Ginny Mose, CNN, New York.
That is all the time we have for now. Thank you so much for watching this morning and this afternoon, and please keep it tuned to JSU-TV.